Hey everyone, welcome to Real Knowledge Club. Today we have a truly fascinating guest, one of the greatest people who I have met online, right? Who is none other like Nick Kozmin, founder of growth consultant and sales process.io, right? He has grown his business from zero to like more than $20 million in online sales. That is more than like 165 crores, right? He is an expert in sales and marketing. He is one of the top leading coaches in Canada, USA, around the world, right? Who caters and helps people to grow their business from dynamic video sales letters, funnels, and he helps people to charge high tickets, not just 5,000, 10,000, 40,000, $50,000 deals he closes and he shows exactly to his students. And he's also like the sales number one sales in his marketing company when he worked in the past, right? Like he was the number one closer over there. One of the top companies from 𝗴𝗿𝗰𝗲𝗵, people who get graduated from Harvard, Stanford, and other top companies and like universities, they come to him for help. He's one of the genius who is basically B.Sc in engineering from the Queen's University. He's one of the top pioneers in the industry. I found him from the Sam Owens Quantum Mastermind, all thanks to Sam, like last 3-4 years back, and from then finally we are getting today Nick over here with us, like Nick Kozmin. It's great to have you here, Nick. Like your honesty, integrity inspires us. Without any further delay, let's all welcome Nick on the Real Knowledge Club Summit.
Thanks for having me, Akshay.
It's my pleasure.
That was quite the introduction. I don't know. That was quite the introduction, yeah.
Thank you so much for taking your super valuable time and being here with us. Awesome. Yeah, Nick, I'm so curious to know about like your backstory, right? How you got started into this journey and how you went from zero to all the way like to like $20 million.
Sure. Okay. So I was studying at a school called Queen's University up in Canada, and I had to pay for my student loans, right? Because I took out loans to go to school. So I needed money. I needed a job, and one of the jobs that was available to me was door-to-door sales. So I started doing door-to-door sales between my 3rd and 4th year at school, and it turns out I was really good at door-to-door sales. And I was able to bank some capital and pay off my loans. I was the top salesperson at this company called Canadian Property Stars. And that was a really good training experience. And then the next summer, I started my own business, which is a door-to-door auto detailing business. So in the first situation, I was selling lawn services and driveway services. And then the next summer, I did auto detailing or mobile auto detailing. And that was good. That made some money. And then when I graduated, I wanted a good product to sell with high margins. So I looked to software like SaaS, SaaS, right? Because I could sell stuff, but I needed a good product, right? I wanted something that was high margin. So I started learning how to code and started building some SaaS products and stuff like that. And I realized that this is a game that I don't really understand. So I started working with some top startups in Toronto. So I prospected to this guy named 𝗲𝗅𝗰𝗲𝗶. He founded a company called Red Flag Deals, and he sold it when he was like 28 years old. So he was a really successful guy. And I messaged him and I said, Derek, do you need any help? And he's like, yep. He had a new startup at the time. So I just went to him and I said, I'm a door-to-door sales guy. I have an engineering physics degree. I could probably provide some value in some way. What do you want me to do? He gave me his app that he was developing. It was a shift-based recruiting app, like for video resumes. And I was like, great, let me go door to door in the mall and just sign up managers. So I didn't even ask for money or anything. I just went door to door and signed up people for his app. And in the first day, I got like 15 people or 30 people. And then the second day I did it again. Derek and the board were pretty impressed. They're like, great, do this more, do it at restaurants. So I did it at restaurants, hired a sales team to prospect to restaurants. And then we eventually bubbled up and got some enterprise deals, and that allowed them to find what's called product market fit, which is the point where there's the product works and it provides value. Because before that point, there wasn't much product market fit. So with that experience, I started getting referrals to other software companies. And then the next deal was a financial advisor marketing company. It was like a SaaS for financial advisors. And they had a couple case studies, and they needed help scaling up and getting traction. So I solved that. I learned the digital marketing. I learned the CRM stuff. I had to figure out how to sell this stuff at scale. That was successful. We scaled from 0 to $1 million in annual recurring revenue in 12 months, which was at the time, this was in 2016. This was pretty difficult to do. Nowadays, it's a little easier to do with because everyone's online. But in 2016, it was still kind of new to be selling fully remote and doing this high velocity sales over the phone, right? For SaaS. So that was a success. And then I did it again for another software company in the fintech space. So it was very, very close. I was in a niche, a very specific niche. I was the only guy playing there. And so that case study under my belt, the second one, I started a consulting business around that called Sales Process IO. And we specialized in helping SaaS founders go from 0 to $1 million annual recurring revenue in 12 months or less. And that was unique for the time. And I scaled that up to 2,000 customers in a period of 2.5 or 3 years. And that was, I made my first $20 million with that model. And it created a lot of value. A lot of the Silicon, like from Canada, we don't have the same capital opportunities. We don't have the same technology opportunities. So I had to use what I had, which was like the sales stuff. And so luckily I didn't need the capital and technology to get that off the ground. It was just a way of like communicating. So that was successful. And and so now we're helping people with their consulting businesses. So any expert, like someone who's really good.
How did you transition from that sales process, like selling, like helping SaaS companies to like right now consultants?
Okay, so with a consulting offer, you have a window in time where you can monetize the consulting offer because your information is fairly unique, right? So as you do more and more consulting jobs, it gets less unique, and we call it a half-life on the consulting offer. So as you go further and you do more customers and time passes, it gets less unique and less valuable because people learn what you're doing, right? So it's like S curves, right? So that offer lasted about 3 years, and then competitors started coming in. Like you probably have seen that. There's been tons of competitors that just blatantly like you do the same thing, right? So when that happens, you kind of just the margins go down, and then you have to solve a different type of problem. So the next thing that we're doing is we're helping consultants, similar to what Sam did in 2015 or 16. We're helping consultants build really hyper profitable consulting businesses. However, there's a difference. In today's world, we're calling it post-COVID businesses, okay? Because pre-COVID, it was a totally different landscape. And post-COVID, there's new behaviors, there's new problems, there's new technology. So a post-COVID consulting business is a really good way to make money right now. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from home. You can do it remote. You can do it in the woods like me, and it works.
Absolutely, I love that, right? Like transitioning, like you transition, like before, like sales process, like you did like for so many years SaaS, and now you understand the trends, right? Like people are like looking more forward to learn about consulting and all those things. That's amazing. And Nick, if I have to ask you, like which model is like right, like the agency business model, like doing the service, right? Because even Sam used to tell, like after one given point of time, we cannot take like a lot of clients. After like 10 or 20 clients, like the delivery rate decreases. Versus like consulting, helping a lot of people. Now, how do you help basically people in growth consulting? Because you also help them to scale their businesses. How exactly you do it?
Okay, so how to scale or how to put together a consulting offer. What you want to do is you want to start with a service. Like it's a one-to-one, Sam calls it done for you in the flesh sort of consulting. This allows you to work with a single customer and really solve the problem. Because in order to make a consulting business, you not only need to solve the problem, but you need to be the best at solving that problem, or you need to be the only one solving that problem. Because if it's not unique, you're not going to be able to build a consulting business on top of that, right? So when you're building your case study, we call it a case study client, you really focus on that solution for that case study client, and you have to make sure that it's amazing. So that's why you start in the done for you or service, or sometimes people start in a job and they solve a really difficult problem that only them solved, right? And then they turn that into a consulting offer. And if the case study is really strong, which means you created a lot of value and it's really unique, then you can turn that into a consulting offer, and the marketing and sales is pretty straightforward at that point. And then you scale it using different methods with like protocols and videos and stuff like that. With a growth consulting offer, one of the problems that companies have is traction. So if you don't have any real experience like with robotics or something like technical or something like that, one thing that you can do is go into a company, like preferably a startup company or an early company, and you solve traction for that company. So the reason why this is a valuable thing to do is because the channels and the way in which people get attention and do marketing, it changes with time, right? So the way that I did marketing 5 years ago for that company is different than I would do it for a similar company today, because the platforms change, the features within the platforms change. So as a beginner, if you can go into a company and solve this distribution, which means you solve the platform and you solve that mechanism, like it could be shorts, it could be stories, it could be outbound prospecting, it could be advertising on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. You solve that for a company, and then once you successfully solve it, you can sell the solution to other companies selling to a similar type of market segment. So there's the consulting business, and then there's specifically growth consulting, which is really solving the marketing and sales hack for a single company, and then selling that solution to other companies. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, that makes sense. Identifying the problem and solving that problem, which is painful enough, which the market is ready to pay, right?
Yeah, and with growth consulting, it's traction. So in Sam Ovens' thing, I noticed a pattern. The most successful consultants were the marketers. They were solving traction, because that's a really painful problem for most businesses, is the attention and the acquisition part. So yeah. So a good lane is to pick a company, solve traction, and then sell that solution to other businesses.
Nick, can you tell us some examples, or like companies, means which type of companies are you talking about? Can you just name someone, like how exactly you and your students are helping them?
So the type of company really doesn't matter, and the market's always changing. There's new offers, there's new problems, there's new behaviors, right? So it depends. Like SaaS was big in 2018. There's like micro SaaS that's big now. A lot of climate change stuff is big now. There's climate change tech. A lot of health stuff is big now. People are very aware of the health protocols and stuff like that. So there's always a path. Yeah, there's always new businesses. There's always emerging markets. It's just about finding them.
Yep, got it. And Nick, like you were telling, you help people in the growth consulting, right? How to go from $0 to $100,000 in like 90 days, right? How basically do they go about? Because some people have the skill set of building funnels. They also know like video sales letters, right? They have the skill set of building funnels and video sales letters. Now, how they can go from where they are right now and where they want to be, like $100,000 a month?
Okay, so the $100,000 a month in 90 days is for people who already have a really good case study. So they already created value for somebody, and that case study is really unique. Okay, so that's not that offer is not for a beginner. if you are a beginner and you know sales funnels and copywriting, that's a good foundation. I think everyone should know how to do that at this point, at least. Now it's not really enough to get results for a customer because the platforms are so complex and it's so competitive, right? Like there are millions of people trying to build funnels for people at this point, right? So it's not enough just to know the funnel and know copywriting. You have to really find a unique solution to acquisition. So a certain message or you're exploiting a certain feature within the platform before everybody else, right? Or a new platform completely, or a platform where no one is playing. So it's for somebody starting, it's important to find your first customer that's in an emerging market, and then really apply creativity and work to solve that distribution or the acquisition.
Absolutely. Now, suppose someone is just starting out, they have like $0 in the bank account and they just want to go about. Now, as you tell, like having the case studies and testimonials is very important. How they can go about in the market and get at least like 3 to 5 testimonials, 1 or 2 case studies in the next 30 days?
That's going to be difficult to do in the next 30 days. First of all, you want one really good one. That's the whole point. You need, because it's so competitive these days, you need to stick out, right? So you need one really good case study and unit case. So for someone just starting, it's similar to what I did early on. When I was just starting with my consulting, I went to someone who I thought was a leader in the industry, and I offered to create value for free. And I worked hard and tried hard and created value. So that's the strategy. Yeah.
Absolutely, I got it. And Nick, as you said, like it's not just enough knowing about the funnels and like copywriting. There is like so many integrated details which somebody has to know. If somebody has to pay like a $40,000 or like $50,000 for building the funnel, and like they pay for the results, right? Now, if suppose somebody has an offer, they're really good in the funnels and the copywriting offer. They have got like clients who can pay them $2,000, $5,000. They have like 5 or 10 case studies and testimonials with them. Now, if they want to increase their price from, let's suppose from $2,000 to $10,000, 5x the price, right? How should they go about? Because they don't feel like so much confident enough to do that, right? How can somebody charge confidently like $10,000, $40,000, $50,000 for the services?
So if you're going to charge a higher price, you need to first create value, and it also needs to be unique. So, or relatively unique. Not too many people should be able to do the same job. So if you're taking on a client and you're building a funnel for them, but there's a million people that can do it, well, the price is going to be low, right? So that's why you want to focus on the case study and making it really good and really unique. Because if it's really unique, and you're the only one that can do it, then you can demand those high prices. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have to find something like a unique spot, right, which others cannot compete, or like some unique USP, right, which can add more value to the business.
That's right. So at the time when I was starting my consulting, my Sales Process IO, the unique thing that I did was I used paid advertising and an inside sales team. And at the time, that was actually really unique. There's no one doing it. So absolutely. At least on the LinkedIn and Facebook channels, they weren't doing it too well. So there was an opportunity for me to exploit that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Got it. And Nick, for all the people, some people have this question, okay, how can someone effectively scale their consulting business without much individually spending time with the clients? Because done for you offer, usually we cannot work with more than 10 clients at a time, right? It creates a chaos. Helping them, how we can basically manage the time properly.
So in the beginning, when you're getting your case study, you don't work with multiple clients. That's the key. You just work with one client and you get a case study. So you shouldn't, there's a lot of agency stuff out there, and I get why they pushed it at the time, because there were few people that actually knew how to build funnels, right? So if you kind of knew what you were doing, then you could bring on like 10 clients and you could make like $20,000 or $30,000 a month just simply installing Facebook ads for a business or something like that, right? I didn't take that approach. I really solved I really hit it out of the park with a single client first. And then I started taking on more clients. So I would recommend not taking on more clients in the beginning and just working with one. Now, if you are searching for a good client, you can talk to them and work with them for a few days. I did do that early on. Like before I found Derek and worked with his company, I did a few days at this other startup. I did a few days at another one. I was kind of just bouncing around until I found one that I really thought had potential. So in that case, you can work with multiple people as you're finding the customer that you want to help. But once you find that person, you have to really focus and make sure that the case study is really strong.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. I love that. And Nick, I'm so curious to also know this question, because a lot of people ask this question, like if they're starting out the consulting business, right? Should they just focus on like done for you offers, first do it yourself, like first done for you, or like some people start focusing on teaching it also, right? They just barely get like one client and they also start teaching that stuff to others. When is the best time to start teaching others about whatever we are doing?
Yeah, you don't start teaching it until you really master it and it's really good. That's the thing. Some people jump to teaching they jump to teaching too early because they see other people doing teaching and they see that they might be successful with it. So what they don't understand is that the offer that they're teaching needs to be extremely unique and valuable, right? So if it only took them a couple of weeks to figure it out, well, that's not really that valuable. That's not really that defensible, right? So because someone else can go and figure that out in a couple of weeks. So in general, you want to really focus on developing that case study and those insights. If you are going to do a consulting offer, you actually need to be an expert at the thing. And it takes a long time to be an expert. Before I started doing teaching with Sales Process IO, keep in mind, I actually didn't teach. It was a lot of working with the client. It wasn't really teaching the client. It was working with the client. It was developing a system to help them through a specific process. I didn't like some people came to me for teaching, but that was much later on. Yeah. So it was years after. Yeah.
Yeah, because I see a lot of people, they quickly jump into like teaching, right? They feel like so much fascinated teaching than doing the work.
Yeah. You got to do the work. You got to do the hard work. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And Nick, what should be the best way if somebody is going out there like to do a good combination of helping a business owner, like building out the funnels, then running the YouTube ads, Facebook ads, doing this both combination can solve a major problem, or like we have to add more and more things to the offer if the business or a coach or consultant has to get the results?
Yeah, that's the second one is right. So it's not enough just to run ads and do funnels anymore, right? Like you have to be creative and you have to find some like hack in the platform. Or you have to develop a hack in the platform. So yeah, to know funnels and just to know advertising is not enough to get results anymore because it's so competitive. You could get results in the past because those features were so new. No one really knew how to use Google ads or YouTube ads because they were so complicated. Or no one really knew how to use Facebook ads because it was fairly new and they were still developing the user base. So now everyone's there. Everyone knows you can make a ton of money with Facebook. So there's no advantage there, right? So you really need to find a new hack. Yeah.
Absolutely, that makes sense. And I saw like you also like you were teaching consulting at the same time, like sales, like you started helping people with the sales reps, right? You brought in like a unique flavor which nobody else was doing in the market, right? You added of your own slice to it, like making like the salt and pepper, something making it like more amazing, right? I love that. And Nick, if you were to hire someone, right, into your team or something, what are the skill set you basically look for? Like if you were to hire anyone into your team?
If I were to hire somebody at this point, they'd have to be really good. Like they have to have some sort of track record, really good track record. Yeah. At this point. When I was starting, I would just look for someone who's really willing to work. You don't have the luxury of getting to pick and choose early on, right? So, yeah, does that answer your question?
Absolutely, right? Like you are looking for somebody who's already expert and who already knows what they're doing, right?
And someone who's complementary to my skill set, yeah.
Right. And does a life partner play an important role in your business while you're working, right? Like the personal life, business.
Personal life. Yeah, there's a few thoughts around that. I think it depends on the person, right? I think having a partner is extremely important if you find the right person. Yeah. So there's guys that, because I did it when I'm not married. Like I got my first business off the ground and I did it while I was not married. Right. So it's a little bit different. Some guys do it when they're married. I know Sam did it. There's like 𝗴𝗿𝗰𝗲𝗶𝗍𝗍 did it when he was married. He really took off when he was married. So I think it really depends on the type of person. Yeah. Yeah.
Like because Alex Rs165 his wife, Sam Owens, his wife, like they complement, right? And I believe the same with you also. With your partner, they complement, they help you in your growth emotionally, intellectually, all spiritually, in all facets of life.
Yeah, it's really an important decision that you have to make. Yeah. But I think everyone's a little different. It's a hard question to answer because I think everyone's a little different. There's right. People that are successful single. There's guys that are successful with their partner in the business. There's guys that are successful as the cheerleader, if you have a cheerleader, right? So I'm not really an expert at that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can only share what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick. And Nick, I also wanted to ask you, did you also set like the goals, right? Like the alchemy planner, which Sam was telling, like where you wrote down the goals, what you want to achieve and how much money you want to make, or like the car, everything. Like you had put a vivid diagram. One day you'll buy a Lamborghini or like the Range Rover autobiography, all those things. Or like how did it happen? Did you visualize? Did you do affirmation? What was the mindset shifts which helped you to make it reality? Because less than 1% people make dreams into reality, right? Everybody dreams to make $1 million, but not everybody crosses that stage.
Yeah. Obviously I have goals and I write down goals and stuff like that. I didn't do a lot of the mindset stuff when I was working with Sam. Because I came from a pretty aggressive door-to-door sales background, right? And I knew that it was basically you have to put in the work, you have to be in the right environment, and you have to try really hard. So I already had those skills, and like I had the discipline and that stuff already from school too, and from my experience and from sports and stuff like that. So the mindset stuff was less. I didn't focus too much on that in the beginning. Yeah. But I think everyone's a little bit different too. If you didn't have the training, then yeah, you're going to have to go through that training and develop those skills, like the discipline, the mindset. Actually, the discipline stuff was really good with Sam. He's probably the best at that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The monk-like discipline, we can tell.
Yeah. The monk-like discipline. Yeah.
Right. And Nick, a lot of people have this question, like how they can go and achieve like 7 figures, like a 2 Comma Club award, right? What is the framework? Like if somebody has to go, as even you also teach to your students, going from 0 to $1 million in like less than 12 months. What is that step-by-step framework? What are the key, most important pillars if somebody has to go there?
Okay. So the main thing is that you're creating value. Okay, so you have to create value at the unit case. And this is a lot of business people, they skip this. I guess guys that are starting, they skip that part. And if you skip that part, it's not going to be successful ever. So you need to really create value for the client. And the way that you do that is you come up with some unique solution for helping the client. So you impact, if you're talking B2B, you impact their bottom line. So you help them make more money in some way. So the main thing is just having a really good case study. And that could take a couple of years to develop, or it could take a year to develop. And then once you have that value, it's about moving really fast. So, and as far as the marketing, so then you have to solve your own marketing and sell the solution. So to get to $1 million in 12 months, you need to have something good to sell. There's guys that made, like, I know a company that got to 40 million in 18 months from bootstrapped, right? So they had a really unique solution, and then they knew how to market, right? So I think it really comes down to the uniqueness of the solution, and then the team, how hard can they push? Yeah. So for a consultant, you have to have a really good case study, and then you need to market it effectively. Yeah.
Awesome. And Nick, you talk a lot about like product market fit, right? I see like your documents, it's like so much detail, and it is so much complicated, which normal person cannot understand. It's like so sophisticated with all the trigonometry, integration, all those things. How do we define that product market fit? Because a lot of people try to help someone, but they don't know exactly that laser targeted who that audience has to be. They try to go broad, like how Sam Owens is doing, or like Russell Brunson is doing, but they are not able to get the results like you or like them, right? How should somebody go about understanding the product market fit?
Okay, so the product market fit, and yeah, some of that stuff, like I have a background in like the engineering thing. So I think some of that language kind of flows through to the documents. It's not that complicated though. The concept's pretty simple. Essentially, the market's moving, right? The market's moving, which means the problems that people have, they change with time. So the hard part about finding product market fit is you have to see the problem, and then you have to build the solution and get the solution to market fast enough so that it's still a solution by the time it's built. Does that make sense? So you can spot a problem, but then if you take too long building the solution, then it fails, right? If you can't get it to market fast enough, it fails, right? Because you don't get the feedback in order to iterate the solution, and you can't do it profitably. So there's a lot of moving parts. That's why it's so hard. It's not just about coming up with a good idea. You have to execute the idea fast enough, and you have to do it fast before a competitor does it. And then you also have to make sure that it's still a solution by the time you build it. So it's that's what the document is saying. It's a lot of people, they come up with stuff in the wrong order, or they come up with businesses in the wrong order. So they start with a solution that there's no problem. Like it's not a solution to anything. They come up with a product that doesn't create any value. So they're either too early or they're too late. So the hard part is it's like threading a needle, right? So in order to do that, you have to watch a market for a while and understand their problem. And then once you understand the problem, you got to move really, really quickly to come up with the solution. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And Nick, there is so much of information in this world, right? Like a lot of people only talk like a surface level knowledge. Whereas like you and Sam Owens go like 2 layers, 3 layers in depth, and like you show that knowledge to the people, right? How can somebody understand? Because everybody tells something. Some person tells have a no ticket offer. Some people tell like high ticket offer. Or some people tell some other thing. How can somebody understand? Is it like the true real knowledge which can actually help them to get the results or not? Is there any way to filter out the crap and understand what is actually the essential, the 80-20, the 20% which can give the 80% results?
Yeah, you're going to have to find someone that you really like listening to. Like and you have to make sure that it's right. It's kind of hard to do that. When I came across Sam Ovens' message, it was different than everybody else, right? It stuck out, and I was attracted to it, and I bought his thing right away, not really to learn what he was teaching or selling, but really to learn what he was doing. That's what I did. And so through that's how I learned that's how I learned a lot of what I know. It wasn't really from the content. It was more from just being around Sam for a long time and learning as he was going. Right. So, yeah. Does that answer your question a little bit? Like yes, there is a lot. Absolutely. And keep in mind, at some point, like that information could have been correct, but because the world is changing so fast that some of the information gets outdated fairly quickly, right? Especially if it gets in the hands of lots of people, right? So that's another thing to consider. Yeah.
Right. And Nick, I have learned always like so many coaches. In fact, like Russell Brunson talks in his .com secrets, expert secrets, like a tripwire offer, right? Like a $5 offer, giving them an ebook, then $37 offer, $97 order, bump, doing that, then $9.97, then $5,000. But whereas you don't have any $9 offer, $100 offer, 1,000. You directly have like 5 figures, like 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, like super high ticket offers. How are you able to do it, right?
Well, yeah, like I think what a lot of people misunderstand is that the structure of the funnel doesn't really matter that much. Like it matters a little bit, like for sales optimization, but if you have something that's really good, then it's going to sell, right? So I've always focused on just creating the value for the client and making sure that it's right. And then you can charge the market price for it, right? So having a low ticket offer and then a high ticket offer, or doing like the tripwire stuff, I can see in some cases that works. Like a book offer, for example, is a good low ticket offer, but really the mechanism behind the book is the sales letter, right? So a really, really good book and good sales letter will warrant a low ticket offer, right? So it depends on the company's situation and who they're selling to. Typically, when you're starting, you go high ticket. Like Russell Brunson, for example, he talks about lower ticket and higher ticket, but if you go back to what he did before he scaled ClickFunnels, he started very high ticket, $50,000 masterminds, and he had like 100 people in the mastermind. So that's his high ticket offer. Without that high ticket offer, he wouldn't have been able to fund all of the other lower ticket stuff. So typically you start at the high end of the market with the most profitable segment that's smaller in volume, and then you develop your insights, you develop your capital, and then you trickle down into the lower end of the market. Yeah.
Absolutely. I got it. And Nick, you being like some of the best salesperson on the planet, what is the best lead generation strategy? Like, should somebody basically pitch after just like the VSL after they watch it, or like should we nurture them like for weeks or like months? What is the best method, right? Because some people feel like, hey, I just watched the video and like instantly like you are pitching me about your offer or service, or like should we nurture them by giving like small touch points and then pitch them about our offer and services?
So the answer is it depends on what are you selling, how unique is it, right? And there's a few variables. So for sales, right now, it's a lot of relatability to an audience and content, because everyone, if you think about it, everyone is online these days. And so in order to get attention, you really need to stand out. And for marketing, it's from right now, it's quality content, really unique content, and some platform exploit. So that's how to generate leads, and that takes time to develop. So, okay, so for somebody starting from scratch and they need to generate leads, what I do, I'll go through a process that I use. I start with as direct as I can. If you know the customer or the prospect, then you just go direct. I do outbound prospecting, like the door-to-door stuff. If that's not working very well, or there's no channel, then you want to start creating content and start attracting them. So for some offers, you can't go direct. So you have to do advertising and content. So it really depends on what you're selling. But in general, if I'm testing something new, I'll just go back to the basics and do outbound prospecting. Yeah.
That's amazing. And Nick, one curious question what I have is like, imagine like some people have that skill sets, but what happens is they feel like if they're closing like a big ticket deal, should they close the client in one call, like a strategy call of 45 minutes, or like should they do like two calls, like a 15-25 minutes discovery call and then strategy call? Which one do you think is going to work best for like business owners if you're trying to offer them any services?
It depends on the offer, right? So when you have, in general, it takes 5 to 7 hours to sell somebody something brand new. If you're like ice cold, it's just kind of a natural sort of law. So if you have a lot of content and you have a lot of videos and VSLs on the site or on YouTube, and the prospect has watched a lot of the content, then the calls are usually shorter. Okay. If there's not a lot of interaction, or you don't really understand the customer's problem too well, so you can't create the content, then you might have to do multiple calls to get the deal. Yeah. So the answer is it depends, but it usually takes 5 to 7 hours to close a deal from ice cold to close.
Absolutely, got it. And Nick, I'm so curious to know about, while you were making like $1 million per annum, right? How was like your schedule looks like, right? Like
I was
what
making
time you used to wake
$1
up?
million a month.
Yep, million a month, right? Like how was your schedule? Do you work like 16 hours a day, sleep for 5 hours or 4 hours, or like how does it look like? At what time you wake up? Can you walk through us from like morning to evening, like night? How do you basically work?
Yeah, so it's not too crazy. I try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. If I get less sleep, then I'm not fully productive. And yeah, I spend the majority of the time working. I take breaks sometimes, like I take naps if I'm feeling tired. Like it's not too complicated. It's not too structured. As far as like the sleeping stuff goes, it's try to get 8 hours. Yeah, but I work all day, right? So yeah.
Absolutely, love that. And how many members team do you have, like Nick? Like if somebody has to grow a business like you, how many team members? Should they need like 100 members team, 50 members team, or like 5 members team?
Right now, in today's world, with today's technology, you don't need a lot of team members to do well with a business. So you might need 2 or 3 team members, and maybe even 1 team member. Like there's guys that are doing really well with just 1 person on the team, and they're crushing $1 million a year, $5 million a year. So a lot fewer than you used to need is the answer. Yeah, you don't need too many.
Absolutely, I love that. Like we just have to have like right systems in place so that the systems can scale up, right? Like funnels and like running ads, leveraging the platform like that. And Nick, like a lot of people get distracted, right? Like how to basically laser focus, like instead of being shiny object syndrome, they try one thing, after 2 months it does not work, they try another thing. How to get that clarity, right? Like 100% clarity about what we have to do, as like you have got, and you have stuck to that one thing for years, right? And you are doing since years. How to get that clarity in life?
Well, one thing that really helps is being around people that are working on cool things, and you get energy from other people, and you can see them focusing, and then you can sort of focus. So that definitely helps. To get clarity on something, you have to spend a lot of time doing it, because it can appear very unclear when you're starting, right? There's a lot of moving parts to business, and they're not all public either. Like there's a lot of stuff that no business owner will ever share, because that will erode a competitive advantage, right? So you have to, if you're trying to figure out the cause effect relationships, a lot of times you have to run your own experiments, and you have to try a lot of things out, or you got to pay somebody who really is willing to tell you. That's really how to get that clarity. Yeah. So there's no real like free info to make millions of dollars, right? A lot of it is not, it's hidden, and a lot of it is it's hard to find. Yeah.
Absolutely, I like that. And Nick, what we do is like we help people to start the consulting business in India, right? Helping them grow the consulting business, helping them build authority, credibility, all those things. And like results wise, not everybody is getting incredible results, right? Like out of 100, maybe 10 or 20 people are getting the great results, right? How to make sure that people get the results and like they retain in the community for like longer time, right? How do we retain the customers for longer time, because they easily get distracted?
It's about having good leadership. Like, are you running your program?
Yes, I am running the program. I'm teaching them how to start the consulting business, how to go about getting clients organically, how to interview like top level people, like 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs, through that how they can build the trust, credibility, have their own as a mindset coach, fitness coach, or like I have helped like many coaches, right, in India who are trying to help people in India also, even globally also, right?
Yeah. Okay. So how do you get them results? It's about having good leadership and making sure the strategy is right. So investing in your own experiments, investing in your own research is important. And also you're providing them with like energy too. That's a big thing with the coaching program. It's energy. Not everyone's going to be successful. There's going to be people that come in and come out. Like that's just the nature of how it works, right? So you can't get everyone, but to make a really good group or a really good offer, you have to make sure that what you're teaching is correct. And then you also need to inject that energy part to it. Yeah. And if you get those two things right, then it usually be pretty successful.
Absolutely. I love that. Like the energy is like everything, right? Like how we pass on like that leadership, creating more leaders, like how Sam has created more leaders, right? Like you, Dan Henry, all the greatest quantum members are like ruling over the entire space in the world, right? Like creating more and more opportunities and leadership. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Nick, as a sales, right? Like if somebody has to hire somebody into the sales team, right? When is the best time? Until when the person has to do like the sales call, and when is the best time to outsource it to the sales rep?
Yeah. Okay. So you want to do for the consulting, if you're a consulting business?
Absolutely. After the VSL video, should we only like currently I only used to do, whenever I used to speak, I used to close more deals. Whenever my team used to talk, they're not able to close much, right? And that person is more dependent on me only, right? How I can basically give that task to my team? When is the best time to do it?
When your schedule gets packed with calendars and you can't sell anymore, that's when you start bringing on a salesperson to help you. Yeah. And then eventually you are filled with client work, right? So your schedule is just helping clients all day. So at that point, you really need a sales team, because if you don't have a sales team, then you can't bring in new customers. So yeah, it depends on your calendar. So in the beginning, you pack your calendar as much as you can and you're selling deals. And then as you're bringing on more, you slowly transition over to a sales team.
Absolutely, I love that. And Nick, basically, while you are starting out, right? Basically, I'm like a computer science engineer. I always think to innovate, like doing more innovation kind of stuff, right? Learning more and trying to create the program, seeing like 10 different people, adding each slice to that, right? Sales, I always keep it like postpone it to the end and then interviewing like the people, creating more value, right? Because of that, the income, like the cash flow shrinks, right? Even though I know sales is important, but I try to do more like R&D, research and development, learning. How do we balance it like in a proper way so that our cash flows also is like consistently hitting like 5 figures, 6 figures per month?
So it goes to the case study again. If the case study is really strong, then you can charge a lot of money for your solution. And then when you go to sell it, you can capture a lot of the value that you created. But if the case study is not too strong and the price is low, then it's going to be hard to capture a lot of the value and get the cash flow up. So probably not the answer that everyone wants to hear, but the longer that you spend developing the case study and the more unique it is, the more money you're going to make in the future.
Absolutely, I love that. And Nick, I also have this question. Can they offer stack a lot of things like relationship, spirituality, business, almost all the important things in a business when it is like into like more like a business coaching? Can they stack more things into the offer?
Yeah, I think the offers will change, right? I can't predict the offers that are going to work tomorrow. You know, like the things change. So
Absolutely.
As things change, they get more, there's new technology, there's new offers in the solution. Yeah, you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to maybe add things or change things to make it unique and valuable. Yeah. So there could be room for an offer like that. But again, that you're going to have to test that.
Absolutely. And Nick, what is your top 3 learnings from our mentors, right? Like Sam Owens, like you are part of Sam Owens mastermind since several years, right? And you have created so much of success. You have helped like guys like so many like 𝗲𝗿𝗰𝗲𝗶𝗵𝗲𝗏 and so many Mitch and so many people, right? What is your top 3 learnings from Sam Owens?
Sam was really good because he gave permission, and as weird as that sounds, to work really hard on one thing and ignore everything else. Like that was as simple as that concept is. There's few people who actually do that. Right. So that was really useful just because there's been times where I've done that for a short period of time, but seeing somebody do it for years and years, that was kind of unique. So that's what I learned from Sam. I also learned as the internet marketing journey is in the make money space or the online entrepreneurship space, it's actually one path. I don't think people understand this. So Sam was just 5 years ahead of me, right? So he knew the path, and sometimes he didn't articulate it, but he could answer questions, and his information was almost always right because he knew the path. So that was really useful. So I learned a lot from Sam because he was just further down the path than me. So I think that the big point is that there's really only one path for this type of thing. So what that path is typically you help a company or you help somebody, you create value, then you do more of that through some sort of leveraged up service business or consulting business. You develop an audience and some capital, and then you come up with a more scalable offer, like a product, like what Sam's doing right now with school, right? So that's the path.
Got it. And Nick, are you ready for like a rapid round where I'll ask you like one-liner questions and like, are you excited for it? Rapid round.
Rapid round. Okay, I don't know how fast I'll be, but go ahead.
Okay. What is that one thing you believe is to be true, which nobody else believes in it?
I'd have to think about that. And if I, that's a valuable answer. You might have to, I don't know if I'll be just sharing that one. Okay, try again.
What? Okay. What? I'll just repeat again the question. What is that one thing you believe is to be true, which nobody else believes?
I understand the question. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. What are the top 3 or 5? Okay. What are the top 3 or 5 books you recommend everyone to read?
The top 3 or 5 books.
Yep.
Depends on the people.
If they want to grow the business, like growth consultant, right? They want to become a great growth consultant.
I like Russell Brunson's book. Any of the sales and marketing books, like those are the best ones. Like I started with sales, 𝗲𝗃𝗄𝗁𝗲𝗹𝗹𝗲𝗲, the little book on selling or whatever, the sales Bible, the marketing books like Russell Brunson, Eugene Schwartz,
Absolutely.
the Barron Letters, stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. And Nick, what will be your 3 pieces of advice for all the consultants, especially in the Real Knowledge Club community, if they want to really uplift themselves and reach their goals extremely fast in 2023? What are the 3 things you would pass it on to all the people since years of experience? 3 most important things.
So find someone to help. You just need one. Like that's I think I've been saying this the whole time. You need a really good case study. You need to create real value. So you need to be really productive for one person. And once you have that instance, then you can do more. I wouldn't get too mixed up with the content online. I don't think that I don't think it's that productive watching everybody. Like if you're really trying to do it, you got to just do it. So
absolutely,
that's probably a good piece of advice.
Right. And your key inspiration to your success, where do you get all the energy and drive to do what you're doing?
I don't know. I feel like I don't have a choice. That's like my,
yeah. That's amazing. And what is that legacy you want to live, right? Before like you go one day, like what is that like you want to be remembered for throughout like the next generations and the next generation? People have to remember you for.
I don't care, man. Like I'm just I'm just trying to like live the next day. Like
yeah, I love that answer. Right. Absolutely, I love that. Nick, thank you so much for sharing like your truly incredible wisdom, all like the great learnings since like last 1 hour. It was truly a great honor to have you with us. For all the people who are watching this, like if somebody has any questions, they want to reach out to you, how they can reach out to you? What's your website name, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn? What's the best channel?
Nick Kozmin on Instagram, okay, NickKozmin, or Nick Kozmin on LinkedIn. Those platforms are good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Nick, before we conclude, any last words before we wind up like today's Real Knowledge Club Summit? What is that you want to tell so that we consider we create more consultants, start impacting more people? What is that? Some words like you want to tell to me and others?
I think your idea of interviewing people like this is a good idea. So I think if people are following you, this is a unique thing that you're doing. And so this, this is good. So I think your followers are in good hands, because this is a unique thing. So whenever I see someone using a unique thing, I think that they're doing the right thing. So good job.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you so much for sharing like your valuable wisdom. Let's be connected. And all the viewers, all the people, do share it with your friend. Do tag what's your top 3 takeaways, and let's make a world a better place to live. Have a great day, guys, everyone. Bye-bye. See you guys.